Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of NAASD, I want to thank all of you for attending our first virtual press conference. My name is Khansa Jones-Muhammad, and I am the president of NAASD. We are here today to charge the United States government with genocide. Freedmen are executed while in police custody, and there is no expedited review by the US DOJ, and the Supreme Court has not effectively adjudicated qualified immunity cases. Freedmen code switch as a survival mechanism. This is a response to mental harm and anti-Blackness that has resulted in bodily and mental injury since 1776. Freedmen women are experienced forced hysterectomies and today receive the highest rate of hysterectomies when other medically feasible options are available. Freedmen children are forcibly placed in foster care systems that deter family reunification without great financial and/or legal hardship. The National Assembly of American Slavery Descendants is a nonprofit organization committed to advancing the national movement for compensatory reparations for Black Americans that descend from persons enslaved in the United States, American freedmen. NAASD is an American freedmen-led and therefore focused on the issues impacting our communities. Our goals are best achieved through community engagement, civic education, and self-advocacy. For members of the Freedmen community that want to raise their awareness and competency around American civics, political sciences, and policy writing, we ask that you join us in guaranteeing the economic and spiritual well-being of our children, help us preserve our communities and unique lineage and culture for generations to come. As we head into the Juneteenth weekend, we stand in unity with Freedmen affiliates from across the nation with this charge. We also call for corporate responsibility and cultural sensitivity after a series of exploitative opportunities taken by major corporations in attempts to misappropriate and capitalize on a holiday that is a national day of atonement for US chattel slavery and Jim Crow. Up next, we have Nyhiem Way.
Greetings, I am Nyhiem Way, President of the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. Freedmen is a legal status that was given to the approximately 4 million emancipated persons in 1865 with the ratification of the 13th Amendment. The descendants of those families have been forced to bear the burdens of the badges and the incidents of slavery in the present day, despite those provisions of the 13th Amendment. These provisions were specific to those who answered up to the status title of freedmen. There was a concerted effort to stop recognizing those called Negroes, Blacks, and colored people by the title of freedmen. With erosion of the term freedmen, the protections of the American freedmen eroded as well. Those protections were made law by the 1866 and 1875 Civil Rights Acts, along with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. The term freedmen is still retained by descendants of the former slaves of Indians in this country. Cherokee freedmen, Chickasaw freedmen, Choctaw freedmen, Creek freedmen, and Seminole freedmen who were emancipated in 1866 via treaty enforcement by the United States government. American freedmen are demanding restoration of this status identifier with the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, and the United States Code. We demand that the federal government reestablishes the promised protections of the American freedmen by reestablishing the Freedmen's Bureau or Bureau of American Freedmen Affairs with satellites, Office of Freedmen Affairs, in states as determined by the American freedmen. We demand that this new version of the Freedmen's Bureau be fully funded by the federal government. We demand that Chapter 4 of the United States Code, Title 8, Freedmen, be readmitted into the code with updated language that specifies protections against economic, housing, and all other customary forms of discrimination against American freedmen, including protections against modern-day lynching or extrajudicial murders, medical and healthcare discrimination, voter discrimination, banking discrimination, etc. We demand that Chapter 4, Title 8 reflect the functions of a reestablished Bureau of American Freedmen Affairs, along with other such codified policy recommendations. Up next is Mark Stevenson of the NAASD.
Thank you. I am Mark Stevenson, Vice President of NAASD. The racist slaughtering of 10 Black people in Buffalo on Saturday, May 14th, is just the latest event in the history of terror against the Black American freedmen community. In 2020, the FBI reported that there was a surge in hate crimes against American freedmen. 64.9% of the 8,052 hate crime incidents that year were based on race, ethnicity, or ancestry bias, with American freedmen accounting for majority of the victims. With these staggering numbers, our government has been asleep at the wheel of addressing this issue. HR 35, the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, was introduced in the 116th Congress in February of 2020 and passed the House on February 26, 2020. The law stalled in the Senate and never went to the president's desk. It has yet to be reintroduced in the 117th Congress. The Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Hate Crime Prevention Acts do not go far enough, nor does it specifically address the racial terror experienced by our community. We're calling on the Biden administration and members of Congress to amend and add the following legislation to the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd hate crime bill. We want lineage added as a covered hate crime category. This is critical because it establishes that race alone is not a specific enough category. Hate crimes can occur within federally defined race categories, but still be motivated by lineage, as in Buffalo. Unarmed shootings or killings of American freedmen found to be unarmed by law enforcement should be immediately handed over to the federal investigators and treated as a possible hate crime. Suspected hate crimes committed against American freedmen should automatically be handled by the Department of Justice and taken away from state and local prosecutors. And now I would turn it over to Rose Cannon from Evanston Rejects Racist Reparations.
Good afternoon. My name is Rose Cannon, and I'm a member of Evanston, Illinois Rejects Racist Reparations. Our resistance movement was established to fight against the false Evanston Restorative Housing Reparations Program. To date, not one Evanston resident has been repaired as defined by the UN definition of reparations. And we are joining here with the National Assembly of American Slavery Descendants to demand protection and repair of American freedmen. In November 2019, the Evanston, Illinois City Council voted to establish the Evanston Reparations Fund to be funded by $10 million over 10 years of the city's, based on the city's 3% tax on gross sales of cannabis. Certain aged Evanston residents may qualify for up to $25,000 per person for use as down payment on purchase of an Evanston property, or to pay down an existing Evanston residential mortgage, or to repair an existing Evanston property. The $25,000 in so-called reparations are never direct cash payments, and the monies are disbursed by a white housing company after certain requirements are met. 3 years after cannabis funding has started, the city refuses to reveal publicly the amount accumulated in the cannabis fund, citing obscure legal reasons. And from a pool of 400 applicants, only 13 people have actually received the $25,000 payout. There is a delay in funding, and due to the advanced ages, 70s and older, of the entitled class, there is fear of loss of life before receiving these payouts. And on Monday, June 13th, an interfaith group of 15 Evanston clergy with news media in attendance met in our Fountain Square area to encourage all faith-based organizations to pledge to collect and donate up to $1 million to what appears to be a failing Evanston's reparations fund. And I yield my time and I go on to Annette Wilcox, U.S. Freedmen Project, New York.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Annette Wilcox. I am a member of the New York-based United States Freedmen Project, a nonpartisan grassroots organization advocating for reparations for the descendants of persons enslaved in the United States, American freedmen. Recently, through a nationwide call to action to grassroots supporters, we successfully stopped the flawed New York State reparations bill, AB 9435, which was stealthily making its way through the legislature. The bill was co-sponsored by the same groups who are behind HR 40, the federal reparations bill, the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America, also known as INCOBRA, the December 12th Movement, the Institute for the Black World, and the National African American Reparations Commission, who's also known as NARC. Like HR 40, the New York State bill does not specify African Americans who descend from persons enslaved in the United States as the eligible group. It seeks reparations for all Blacks in the United States, leaving any legislation passed open to 14th Amendment challenges. Most troubling, the New York State bill actually gives the aforementioned groups the power to appoint the majority of the task force members, 6 out of 10. This ensures the commission will be controlled by the groups who are all from the same political views and have frozen out any of the modern reparations groups who have reinvigorated the movement in the 21st century. We cannot let reparations become the victim of narrow ideological objectives of a small number of groups. Reparations should settle the 150-year-old justice claim of American freedmen. It would be the most historic legislation since the Civil Rights era, and arguably since the Emancipation Proclamation. We must get it right. Thank you. So now I'll pass to Chris Lodgson.
Good afternoon, and thank you. My name is Chris Lodgson, one of the lead organizers with the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, or CJEC. We are a grassroots, freedmen-led, California-based coalition of community organizations, associations, and community members, and one of the 6 community anchor organizations selected by California's first in the nation Reparations Commission for community outreach and engagement, supporting California reparations. Today, I am so honored to be here on the invitation of the National Assembly of American Slavery Descendants, or NAASD. And I'm extra honored to be joined by so many other amazing, awesome grassroots reparations organizers and advocates. I want to read you the definition of genocide. According to the United Nations, killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mentally harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, and forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. As such, it is absolutely clear, it is absolutely evident that the United States is guilty of genocide against the American freedmen community. And as such, the United States government, the executive branch, and the Congress must consider, must adopt NAASD's Repair Act, NAASD's drafted HR 1865 by executive order or legislative action, as well as all of the specific measures and actions recommended by my grassroots colleagues here today. And with that, I will yield the mic to Ruby Glass of the esteemed Texas Chattel Slavery Reparations Commission. Ruby.
Peace and light. My name is Ruby Glass, and I'm representing the Texas Chattel Slavery Reparations Commission, an affiliate organization with NAASD. Within the last year, NAASD has published and shared the Repair Act presidential priorities with the White House and other government officials at the federal, state, and local levels. The presidential priorities are actions that the Biden administration can enact via executive order that can directly impact the everyday lives of Black Americans who descend from U.S. chattel slavery, politically known as freedmen. The presidential priorities include the creation of a reparations commission by executive order, reaffirmation of affirmative action for Black Americans who descend from United States chattel slavery, creation of a designated census category, reestablish and expand the Freedmen's Bureau, hate crime enhancements specific to our community, which will severely punish the perpetrators of lynchings and domestic terrorism, guaranteed SBA grants and loans, and set-asides for businesses fully owned and majority owned by Black Americans who descend from United States chattel slavery. To date, our organization has made several attempts to meet with Sheila Jackson Lee, the sponsor of HR 40, to no avail. We have sent over 30 written communications and numerous phone calls to her office to schedule meetings over the edits that will strengthen this bill, but we have received what can only be described as indifference to input and collaboration. And worse, a refusal to address the concerns of constituents in her community and nationally. We call on Sheila Jackson Lee and members of the Biden administration to meet with NAASD and the Freedmen-led affiliate grassroots organizations to implement these policies and protections immediately. I'll turn it now over to Jerrod Amir Shakir.
Thank you for that. And then my name is Jerrod Amir Shakir, board member of the National Assembly of American Slavery Descendants, NAASD, and Political Action Committee Chair. I'd like to sincerely thank all of the speakers that we've had here today. Khansa Jones-Muhammad, President of the NAASD, and Mark Stevenson, Vice President of NAASD. Nyhiem Way, President, United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, Georgia. Chris Lodgson, Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. Ms. Rose Cannon, Evanston Rejects Racist Reparations, Illinois. Ms. Annette Wilcox, U.S. Freedmen Project, New York. Ms. Ruby Glass, Texas Chattel Slavery Reparations Commission. And this is the national network of Freedmen-led organizations that I highly recommend that each and every one of you dedicated reparationists join one of these in your local area if you have not done so already. I would also like to remind everyone of NAASD's Reparations Summit in Atlanta, Georgia, at the National Center for Civic and Human Rights, September 30th to October 1st. Tickets go on sale Juneteenth. For more information, please visit NAASD.org or email info@NAASD.org. And now I'd like to open the floor for any questions. And the floor is open for any questions from the press. Please raise your hand if you have any questions. Okay, we have a CA, California Black Women's Health. Go ahead, you have your hand raised.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate all the speakers for the great information that you provided and the activist work and justice work that you all are doing. As someone who also represents a Black nonprofit, I'm wondering if you can provide information on how more of our Black nonprofits and community-based organizations can be more supportive of the work that you're doing. If you can speak to that.
Yes, thank you for the question. If you want to be more involved, the best way to do it is to reach out to us. You can send us a message at info@NAASD.org. So that's NAASD.org, info@NAASD.org. Or you can follow us on social the organizations here, all the organizations that were represented here, they're in unique locales. So if you want information about those organizations, they can reach out to them as well. Hopefully that answered your question. If not, any other, and you also can be invited to, if you want to come get more information, we're hosting the informational at the end of this month on, so we can definitely get you the information for that.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Natalie from California Black Women's Health Project. Appreciate you as always. So to your question specifically, how can Black-led nonprofits like the amazing Black-led nonprofit that you help run, California Black Women's Health Project, support the work that folks in this room and outside of this room who are grassroots, Freedmen-led organizations? How can your organization and organizations like yours support the work that we're doing? I think there's a couple of ways. One, because we're mostly grassroots and really just, as I like to call us, regular Black folks just getting involved in our community. None of us are really professionals in politics. None of us went to school for this work. We're just everyday Black people who chose to get involved in our community's life and our community's health and our community's well-being. I think what you can do is, one, help build the capacity of the different grassroots groups, and that could be from providing fiscal sponsorship opportunities. That could be from providing technical assistance opportunities. That could be providing guidance and advice, helping to support with volunteers, helping to support with promotion for events, helping to support with recruitment, really adding and lending your capacity as an established Black grassroots organization to the Black grassroots organizations that exist or are starting to exist. That's probably the best way that I think organizations like yours can help build and support the great grassroots reparations work that's going on.
Next, we have Revive Westside with your question.
Hi, sorry, I'm actually driving. This is Tashika with the Historic Westside Revitalization, calling out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Our organization does a lot of revitalization efforts. So my question regarding the person who is currently not answering us, do we currently know which congressional districts that this person is in? And is anybody in her district actually going to sit in her lobby to make sure that we're holding her accountable to her putting this bill out and making sure that she is actually putting what is needed in it in her area?
I believe that question would be directed to you, Ruby.
Yes, ma'am. What we have been doing is, at the moment, we just stopped going to the office and sitting. They were never there. And if they were there, they didn't talk to us and they didn't answer the phone. Right now, and that's we're about 3 years in, trying to get her to sit down with us. And she's gone through numerous assistants, numerous legislative assistants. The phone numbers sometimes change, the people change. We do understand that there are some people who can get in touch with her. She's just not willing to have this discussion. Did I answer your question?
Yes. So we run into very similar issues in Las Vegas when it comes to people who simply do not want to answer questions. So a lot of us, what we do is kind of partner with other organizations that we know that they do meet with to kind of release to give us advance notice on where they're going to be, to kind of bum rush them, if you may.
We did do that. We did go there. But again, security, and with the heightened security in open events now because of, the shootings and the different things that are happening on the ground, we have to be really careful not to engage or involve ourselves to an extent to where we, create a situation for ourselves. And we definitely don't want to go on record as we passed blackballing. So I don't know what it is when you pass being blackballed. There's nothing really else they can do to us. But I noticed that she's reaching out more to the younger generation and the rappers, the entertainment committee, because she's lost pretty much the ground. She has a groundswell of people who support her. But ma'am, right now, November is coming. We've already laid it down. We pretty much said, the status quo, Blacks are going to vote. And then those of us who are knowledgeable about have information, we're going to put that information out. We're going to keep the people informed as best we can. We just run into the entrenched incumbent over 30 years. We have the same that issue. And so working around it and working through it is a daily thing, because it can switch up on you in the middle of the day. You just have to stay informed and stay on it. And that's what we're doing.
Thank you. We're going to go to the next question from Brooke.
Hello. Thank you for this opportunity. I was referring back to, I have two questions really quickly. Going back to the building capacity that Chris was talking about, as far as the things that you mentioned, promoting technology, advice, volunteering, do we need to sign up the organization in order to assist you guys and to work with you? Like, do we need to put our name on our organization on a roll call or anything?
I'll actually take that question. Thank you so much for that, Brooke. So the easiest way, honestly, at this point, to volunteer is to send an email to info@NAASD.org, because yes, we have volunteers that we work with on different committees and campaigns. We are always looking to take in more volunteers. I do want to re-emphasize at the end of this month, we will be holding an informational, and I encourage organizations and individuals to show up. We are going to try to reassemble all of the speakers and our affiliates from across the country so that we can do the coalition building on the grounds in their respective states, as well as do coalition building at the federal level, so we can get into a Sheila Jackson Lee's office and be heard. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And really quickly, my second question is, what's next? I'm very appreciative that you guys are charging the genocide. I think it's long overdue. What's next?
I guess I'll take that question. What's next is to continue to add pressure and to continue to advocate and organize from the local, state, and the federal level. We understand that in the road that we're in right now, if we don't help to try to course correct our communities, we're going to be in a state of peril. So we cannot stop, not one day, not one second. We have to continue to advocate and push. So we do a lot of call to actions. We need volunteers to assist, to continue to put pressure on the ground. We need, we have to do this everywhere. So if you're in a local area and you see a campaign going on and you want to get involved with it, get involved with it. If you see an organization in your area that is doing the work, get involved with that organization. Because the more people we get to assist and to help, the better we are. This is not, this is trying to do something for the community. And so any help that anybody can give, this is, we implore you to get involved, So hopefully that answers your question.
And just to wrap us up, I do want to thank everyone again for attending. This is our first press conference. So this is significant action for us today. And in terms of the follow-up, so we have been building, we work very quietly. We don't tend to announce things until things have made a point of progression. And so some of the things that are being seen coming out of the White House and the census on disaggregation and the urgency, that's quiet work being done by us. We see the fruits of our labor with us having a three-pronged approach to federal repair, state repair, and local repair. You see that based on the panel that we have here today. California has been the strongest leader with that charge. As many of you know, Chris Lodgson was the VP up until last year, until he took over the state charge in California. And so the work is happening. Now is the time for us to build capacity, to expand our relationships with the press, so that we can make sure that the descendant community, which is almost 40 million people in the United States, is heard, and that our repair, particularly with the charge of genocide that we are asserting today, is going to be addressed, and is going to be addressed in a timely and meaningful fashion. So with that, I thank you all so much. I hope you have a great day. That concludes our press conference. We will be in touch. Thank you so much.